What's up guys, welcome back. Every month or so I do a series called Probing Paul where you guys ask questions and I answer them. Occasionally I also include mail time where I open packages that have arrived. Gonna be doing that today too. The theme for today's episode is, what do we do now? It's the middle of summer, the PC market is kind of in shambles, and I have been asking myself this question as well as you guys asking me this question in the comments section from previous videos. I do have some answers to that question, so to find out what those are, let us proceed with Probing Paul, episode number 104.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Paul's Hardware store on paulshardware.net, the only official source for Paul's Hardware merchandise. Tantalizing t-shirts, brilliant beer sets, high-quality hoodies, and more, all featuring the classic thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers, or the 8-bit thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers who hate curves. New designs are added sporadically and at random, so head over to paulshardware.net and get some of that sweet, sweet merch right now. Or not right now, after you watch the video. Either way. Right though, to begin, a quick note on how Probing Paul works. There is a playlist so you can go and relive through all the 100 plus times that I have been probed. You pretty much can't even see back to when I used to use light mode many moons ago, but I did want to start off by acknowledging some of the comments that came in last month. Actually, the theme for Probing Paul the past couple months has been a bit of commiseration and try to stay positive amidst the PC hardware shortage. You guys have provided me with a ton of positive feedback that I greatly appreciated, but a lot of people in the comments have also been lifting each other up or at least providing some sympathy for those who are struggling right now with the PC hardware shortage, such as Andrew Venn, who says their store hasn't sold a computer in 3 months. People who are generally feeling pretty down about how inaccessible the PC building hobby has become, particularly with the prices of memory and storage. People like Matthew Connor 5483, who was laid off, people who have maybe lost jobs because of AI and that sort of thing. I wanted to acknowledge you all and offer my deepest heartfelt sympathies and hope that things will get better in the future. But with that in mind, let's start with our first question. Some of these are actually more like comments, but I gathered them together to offer some alternatives to people who might want to take a step back from PC building or just find some other way to enjoy our hobby that doesn't involve paying $400 for a DDR5 memory kit. So the first alternative to PC building comes from Raul Saavedra 709, who says, since PC building is basically a no-go right now, I'm getting around it by doing some PC modding. Raul has a Fantex Enthoo Pro M with two 140mm fans in the front. They attempted to remove the DVD drive bay to add another 140mm fan. That didn't really work out, so they're using hard foam boards, multiplex wood panels, maybe some metal cutting, in order to improve the airflow at the front of this Fantex case, which is, I believe is like from 2016 or so. Case modding can be a ton of fun. You have to have a little bit of space to get some work done, of course, but it's a great way to take some old hardware that might have been scrapped otherwise and give it some new life. And this reminded me of a couple case mods that I did. I added a 10 gigabits per second USB 3.1 Gen 2, I guess it's now 3.2 Gen 2. So this is actually a mod for Arctic Panther. It was a lot of fun to get done. This was before a lot of cases had that 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C plug, because it was before that was even renamed to that. And it involved a fair amount of milling out of plastic and shaving down of parts in order to get them to fit in there. But I'm happy to say that it totally worked out. I was able to plug and unplug stuff without too much difficulty, and that mod is actually still functional, or at least it would be if I fired up Arctic Panther again. This system is still around, although it's not currently in use. And speaking of Arctic Panther, another case mod that I did on it was to add a tempered glass side panel, and this was more than 10 years ago because this was before tempered glass side panels were really very common in cases. And this one also involved a fair amount of Dremel work and some really helpful assistance from Bill Owen of MNPC Tech. All right, the next question / suggestion comes from Josh Byington, who says, do you see yourself adding any retro PC content in the future? I know there are several channels dedicated to older hardware. I'd love to see some video series on rebuilding your first PC or something similar. I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of retro PC coverage, although I do have a lot of retro PC hardware hanging out here. I tend to focus on current generation or previous generation hardware because my channel is very focused around giving people information they need to build their own PC, and that is often a lot easier to do if you're buying new parts from retail versus fishing around on the used market. However, things have changed quite a bit in the past year or so. The retro PC market is getting some renewed interest because people are like, well, I can't afford the new stuff. How can I get by with maybe something that's a little bit older that I can find on the used market for a lot less money? I don't have any immediate plans to dive into retro PC building content, but it is something something that's been percolating a bit as I've been considering various ways to address the PC hardware shortage right now. But I will say that any content in that vein is heavily contingent upon me continuing my never-ending struggle against the buildup of clutter and keeping things organized here in my workspace. I did just finish a video on my actual main workstation PC and my office space over there that's either just gone up or will be up very soon. And look for the sort of spiritual continuation of my spring cleaning series as I attack my side yard as well. That'll help me get a better assessment of the actual older retro PC hardware that I have on hand to get a better idea of what content I can make out of that stuff. All right, 2 more suggestions / questions. From 59.9 FPS comes the idea that, hey, with 400 plus games in my backlog, I am good for a few years without spending on new hardware. You don't need to play like the current bleeding edge AAA games. There's so many games available on like Steam or Good Old Games, or is it just GOG now? But the point is, with PC gaming, you're very backwards compatible. You can often play games that are 10, 15, 20 plus years old without too much problem. And the older a game is, the more likely it is to be playable on your current rig, which is also very helpful. So taking a step back from the FOMO that you might get from watching videos about brand new games coming out and just investing more time in games that you can play because there are so many out there is a great way to attack this problem. Also, getting more use out of older hardware that is still functional, if perhaps a bit slower than the current gen, is a great way to go. And one great thing lately is Linux gaming, such as CachyOS, or systems that might now be compatible with SteamOS, for example. This conveniently ties in with a project that I am currently working on, although a little bit slowly, which is the Linux PC, or the PC that I built specifically to load Linux on. And I know there's other ways to do this. I could have like dual booted my main system or something, but I wanted a separate system that I could try Linux on while capturing it on my main system. I also needed my main system to fall back to if there's something that I couldn't handle on the Linux PC. So over the next 1 to 3 to 5 to 6 months, I'm going to be dabbling in Linux. I'll be screen capping as much as possible and bringing you guys some reports on my experience, what I thought went well, what I thought was a little bit more challenging. And one of the great things about Linux, and Joe can attest to this, is Linux can sort of revive old hardware that might have felt bogged down or slow when running an operating system like Windows. Wipe that OS and install Linux, and suddenly the machine can seem much more responsive and fast again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all that goes and sharing it with you guys. And as mentioned, I just completed more of a home project of maneuvering stuff around in order to get that system integrated into my main office area, which segues into the final comment from Crazy Finn. Thank you for your appreciation of my humor and my relaxed videos. It is often the only way I can get certain projects done. Is like, well, I just need to make a video out of this project, and that provides both the motivation and the crossover of using sort of my like work time with my like upgrades and maintenance time. Combining those things together lets me get some of those projects done while also hopefully providing you guys with at least a little bit of entertainment. So you're probably going to see also over the next few months more of a smattering of random house fixing videos, doing random building or garden things. We are still working on our backyard. It is a long work in progress. But thank you, Crazy Finn, for this excellent comment, as well as everyone who commented on last month's video. And again, if you want me to answer a question in the next probing poll, you can leave it in the comment section down below. And yes, I will be keeping champagne bottles away from Kyle. Okay, next up, it's time for mail time. I'm going to be opening some packages that were sent to me, and if you would like to send me a package to open on mail time, you can send it to P.O. Box 4325 in Diamond Bar. It's listed right there if Joe put it on the screen for you. Our first package here was sent to my P.O. Box. It was ordered through Amazon, so I honestly have no idea what this might be. This is also one of the older packages I have for today because it arrived just after the last time I shot mail time, so this has been around for a month and a half or so. It is a book by Viktor E. Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. So I have zero familiarity with this author or this book, although apparently it has sold over 18 million copies. The note says, hopefully this helps the baseless optimism. It did for me, although I need to read it again. Thanks for the channel and all you do, from Chris. Seems to be somewhat related to psychology. There's references to Freud on the back. So thank you, Chris, for the thoughtful gift. I do appreciate baseless optimism. I will add this to my reading list after the biographies that my mom and dad put together for us kids. The next package here came from a vendor you may have heard of. They're called G.Skill. And fair warning, I already know what's in here because when I was at Computex, G.Skill was like, hey, we've got this new ultra low latency memory coming out. Would you be interested in trying some? And my thought was like, wow, you guys are still doing memory samples like in 2026? That's amazing, or surprising, or whatever you want to call it. But this is the Trident Z5 Neo X RGB kit featuring Expo ultra low latency memory technology. Basically, they put an extra profile on the memory kit that is specifically tuned for low latency, so ideal for gaming situations. AMD put out some numbers on performance improvements the ULL memory can achieve. I don't think that there has been very much actual testing of this memory yet because the kits are just starting to hit market. And when I covered it in my Computex videos, the reaction was kind of to be expected, which is like, well, memory is already expensive enough as it is. Is this really something that the market needs right now? And I think that's a pretty reasonable assessment. We're only starting to see some pricing roll in for these types of kits. And a big surprise, it's not any cheaper. In fact, they're a little bit more expensive than current DDR5 kits on the market. But anyway, there it is. Has a nice piano black finish with the G.Skill logo, RGB on top, of course. I do not have a specific project lined up for this memory kit, so let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you're at all interested in seeing testing, or if I should just do a build with it, something like that. But G.Skill, thank you very much for sending this over, and I will put it to good use. A couple more packages to open, or I should say 3 more packages to open, and this one was something that I actually ordered and arrived. It was a little bit of an impulse purchase. Wow, look at all the add-ins that Newegg puts in here. Yes, this is a Newegg order, because last week I was saying that, hey, the 10th anniversary, AM4 10th anniversary edition 5800X3D is out. And there was speculation, like, is it gonna stay in stock? Like, are people gonna be buying them up? It's $350, and even though that is less than the original MSRP of the original 5800X3D, but it's also a little bit older now, so you have competition from the likes of like the 7800X3D, making $350 perhaps not the most compelling price for this product. And in fact, I bought this 3 or 4 days after they went out for sale, after I had verified, okay, these aren't selling out immediately, and I could probably scoop one out without like upsetting anyone for like buying products that I should be leaving for people who don't have like a bunch of hardware on hand already. I was also kind of curious because this is supposed to come with like a cryo sheet, like an alternative to thermal paste solution, but I guess they must actually be putting that in the box because it didn't ship as a separate item in the package. All right, moving on to our last 2 packages, and I'm gonna open these at the same time because I also kind of know what these are. One is addressed to me and the other is addressed to Awesome Hardware. So Awesome Hardware in its current iteration is the charity live stream that Kyle and I do annually. Occasionally we do more than one live stream. And in fact, in anticipation of this video, I hit up Kyle and said, hey, we talked about doing a summer live stream for Awesome Hardware. Let's get that on the calendar somehow. But this is for Awesome Hardware 2025 and also the individual achievement sent over by Children's Miracle Network Hospitals as part of the Extra Life campaign. Extra Life raised $13.5 million in 2025, and a big thank you to all of you guys who contributed as part of our charity live stream. We usually do it at the beginning of December, but again, we're hoping to do a summer one for this year as well. And the way Extra Life works, you have individual accounts, so you can just sort of do charity fundraising on your own, or you can join a team. Our team is Awesome Hardware that Kyle and I are part of. So, as you might notice, I've got some of these plaques up on the wall behind me. And now here is the new individual plaque for 2025. They always feature some artwork from one of the kids from Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, which is a nationwide network of hospitals. And when you sign up with Extra Life, they assign you to the hospital that is closest to you. So Children's Hospital Los Angeles is the one that we usually do fundraising for. And that's awesome. I love the controller, the dice rolling. That's part of the Extra Life logo. You can probably see on the side there. And then the team plaque here for Awesome Hardware. That is awesome, I love it. I'm gonna need to make a little bit more space on the wall over here to feature these as well. I'll offer this to Kyle because I know he's got 1 or 2 from previous years. We've kind of been trading off, but he's not had like a permanent home for them just recently, although he will soon. As far as I can tell, his house is getting put back together or rebuilt. He's been doing a pretty awesome series of videos and live streams on that. Although he has not, as of yet, responded to my text message I sent him this morning. But that is all the time I have for this one, you guys. Thanks to those of you who posted comments in the last probing poll. If you'd like me to answer a question that you have, please post it in the comment section of this video. And thank you to those of you who sent stuff over to my P.O. box as well. We'll list it right here. It's also down in the video's description. Also down in the video description, you can find a link to my store at paulshardware.net where you can help support my channel by getting yourself some awesome merchandise, shirts, hoodies, beer glasses, and more. I hope you guys are all doing well and having a good summer so far. We'll see you all in the next video.